and say, no, government, these people, they have a case. Do you understand? You have to push for them. Not calling people names, going around and trying to show who is better than who and things.
Yeah.
I mean, the disrespect for, and I mean, in our general society, especially sector ministers, are accorded the maximum respect that that is due them. And I think that the Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association, they've not carried themselves in good light. So it's very welcoming that they've taken this posture. And then we hope going forward, if any issues that they have with the ministry, they can judge all behind and they can get good results for their membership. That is what we wish. I mean, we don't want the whole sensationalism on the media and people shouting here and there, calling people. It's not good. It's not good for even learners, young people coming up who looks up to these people and are picking some few things from them. It doesn't say well at all for me. So their latest move, very commendable. I think they went with two former presidents of the association, and that tells you that they really meant well and they wanted to reconcile, because they didn't go with the current leadership. They went with two former presidents of the association to intercede on their behalf. And so it's a very good move, and we commend them.
We commend them. Right. Abel, thank you very much for your time. Really grateful that you made time this morning to speak to me.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Thank you for having me.
Okay, please enjoy the rest of your day. All right, that was Abel and Soluin Amodiok. He's a governance and policy strategist, and they joined me this morning to break down the headlines. Business news is up next. Please stay tuned.
Good morning and welcome to the business news segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. I am Samuel Ainchi. Coming up shortly in the bulletin, MTN Ghana to gradually phase out 2G and 3G networks, and also coconut, watermelon and rice among Ghana's inflation drivers despite decline in rate. And on the international scene, Google dodges Chrome breakup but ordered to share data with rivals. These and many more stories will be coming your way. Do stay with us. Now let's settle for the details of the story. MTN Ghana has announced plans to gradually phase out its 2G and 3G networks, assuring customers that the transition will be done cautiously to avoid disruptions. At a press briefing during the Digital Africa Summit in Accra, Chief Executive Officer Stephen Blawett explained that many subscribers still depend on the older networks. While some prefer 2G and 3G for better control of data consumption, others continue to use devices that are not 4G compatible. The company says it remains committed to optimizing its spectrum by eventually retiring 2G and 3G, but the process will align with the availability of affordable 4G devices to prevent leaving customers behind. MTN will continue investing in network modernization while engaging stakeholders to ensure smooth migration and wider access to 4G technology. Now, away from that, Ghana's inflation rate eased in August 2025, dropping to 11.5% year-on-year from 12.1% in July, with consumer prices falling 1.3% month-on-month. However, figures from the Ghana Statistical Service show that key food items remain major drivers of inflation. Fresh coconut prices surged by over 130%, with watermelon, cashew, avocado, and ginger all recording increases of more than 100%. Other items such as palm fruit, apples, groundnut, eggs, vegetable oil, and yams also posted sharp rises. Cooked rice, smoked herrings, and electricity were among the top contributors, highlighting the persistent pressure on household budgets despite the national slowdown. The government statistician urged households to take advantage of fallen prices in some commodities while calling on fiscal and monetary authorities to maintain discipline to sustain this inflation trend. And now in governance, government will soon introduce solar-powered irrigation pumps across the country to boost agricultural productivity and reduce reliance on rain-fed farming. The initiative, announced at the International Solar Alliance Regional Committee meeting in Accra, is aimed at supporting year-round farming and improving resilience in the agriculture sector. The International Solar Alliance has also committed a $200 million facility to accelerate the adoption of solar solutions across Africa, with the first $75 million expected to be operational before the end of 2025. Authorities say the program will help farmers remain productive during the dry season, enhance food security, and attract private sector investment into renewable energy. And also, last story for the bulletin. On the international scene, Google has avoided the drastic measure of being forced to sell its Chrome browser or Android operating system after a U.S. federal judge ruled against breaking up the tech giant. However, the company must dismantle exclusive contracts and share search data with competitors in a landmark antitrust ruling. The decision, delivered by District Judge Amit Mehta, followed years of litigation by the U.S. Department of Justice over Google's dominance in online search. Prosecutors had sought a divestiture of Chrome, but the court said such a remedy was a poor fit for this case. Instead, Google is barred from striking exclusive agreements that made it the default search engine on Apple's iPhones, Mozilla's Firefox, and its own Android and Chrome platforms. The company must also grant rival firms access to search data to help level competition. Court filings show that in 2021, Google paid more than $26 billion to secure default search status with partners such as Apple and Mozilla. Shares of Alphabet, Google's parent company, rose by more than 8% after the ruling, as investors welcome the absence of a forced breakup. Analysts describe the outcome as a win-win for corporate players, noting that manufacturers like Apple, Samsung, and Motorola will benefit from greater freedom in choosing pre-installed services. Google welcomed the judgment, framing it as recognition of a changing search market shaped by artificial intelligence. The Justice Department, however, indicated it may pursue tougher measures, while rival search firms such as DuckDuckGo argued that the ruling fell short of addressing Google's entrenched market power. The company still faces further scrutiny, with a separate trial on its online advertising technology business scheduled later this month. With its search segment alone projected to generate nearly $200 billion this year, Google's legal victories and setbacks will continue to shape the future of the tech industry. And that will be all for the business segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. But before we go, let's take a recap of our top stories. MTN Ghana to gradually phase out 2G and 3G networks. And on the international scene, Google dodges Chrome breakup but ordered to share data with rivals. And also coconut, watermelon and rice among Ghana's inflation drivers despite decline in rate. You can get more business stories on www.zmultimedia.com. You can also follow us on all our social media platforms, ZFMGH on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and Z Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube. I am Samuel Ainji. Thanks for listening.
This is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM. It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Dream Home. No interest for 2 years. Are you ready to step into your dream home? With Lakeside Estate's exclusive offer, you can own your own home in just 2 years with no interest repayment. This offers you affordable payments, flexible home purchase plan, quality homes, and lifestyle choice. Choose from a variety of beautiful homes in any of Lakeside Hills clusters. Your future awaits you. Imagine living in a home you love with the freedom to invest in your dreams without the burden of interest. As your CIMG Real Estate Company of the Year for the 4th time, we offer you hassle-free home acquisition. Call us today on 020-477-5040 or 020-141-8622. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Call us now to learn more and schedule a tour for our available homes. T&C supplied. Make your dream a reality. Lakeside Estate. Quality homes for all.
An entrepreneur, a CEO, a C-suite executive, or a game changer shaping industries? Ready to share big ideas, connect, and uncover new opportunities? Then get set for the 2nd edition of the CEO's Breakfast and Networking Meeting, themed The Rise of the Conscious Leader, Power, Profit, and Principles. Highlights include raffles and irresistible prizes, complimentary books from speakers, exclusive networking with CEOs and industry leaders, interactive sessions on business growth and ethical leadership, plus a full breakfast and buffet lunch. Date, Thursday, 2nd October 2025, inside La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. Time, 7 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Space is limited. Register today and lock in your early bird discount before 22nd September 2025 at ceonetworkingevent.com. Don't just attend an event, be part of a movement redefining leadership for a new era.
In the heart of Accra, nestled in the vibrant neighborhood of East Legon and New Beacon, a 360 multimedia firm has emerged. Introducing Zed Multimedia. With a steadfast focus on lifestyle, leisure, and business, we set out to bring high-value oriented programs that captivate the taste and desires of our audience. From the captivating airwaves of Zed 101.9 FM to the dynamic visuals of Zed TV and the innovative realms of Zed Digital and the incubation of advanced technological knowledge at Zed Tech, every facet of modern media is meticulously curated to engage and inspire. Also, let's not forget the new Finder newspaper, now under the Zed Multimedia umbrella, delivering insightful journalism with a business focus. Join us on the journey where innovation meets inspiration, where lifestyle meets leisure, and where business thrives. Change is here. Zed Multimedia, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform.
literature, the history, all the very important stuff. I mean, all of those things are important. But life is not an exam. Life throws challenges that don't have multiple choice answers. What happens when a child faces stress? What happens when they meet people who are different from them? What happens when they fail and have to try again? And this is where emotional intelligence comes in. It is the ability to understand yourself, to regulate your emotions and connect with others. Understand yourself, regulate your emotions, and connect with others. Now, Daniel Goleman, who popularized the concept of emotional intelligence, through his book on emotional intelligence, he defined it as a self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, and social skills. He defined emotional intelligence as self-awareness, first of all, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, and social skills. Now, without it, we are raising children who can pass exams but cannot pass the test of life. And it is very sad. Now, let me give you some numbers. A large meta-analysis of 213 studies covering more than 270,000 students found that those who took part in social and emotional learning programs showed an 11% increase in academic achievement. Not a drop, an increase. So it means that emotional intelligence, which is also known as EI, doesn't compete with academics. It strengthens it. Another study estimated that for every $1 invested in emotional learning, the return is $11. Imagine that ROI in the business world. You'd call it a gold mine. But when we ignore it, the costs are huge. Higher stress, more bullying in schools, lower productivity at work, and even mental health crisis. Now, a report in the UK, recent report in the UK, found out that teenagers there ranked among the bottom 10 in empathy and perseverance among OECD countries. And the gaps were even worse for children from disadvantaged backgrounds. And that should make us pause. Now, let me bring it home for you as a business leader listening to me this morning. Why does this matter to you? Because emotional intelligence is not just about being nice. It is about performance. Because research shows that emotional intelligence accounts for up to 90% of the difference between high performers and average performers at work. Think of the leaders you admire, whether in Africa, whether in Ghana, in Africa, or even globally. They didn't just rise to the top because they knew every formula in a textbook. They rose because they could manage themselves, they could inspire others, and navigate human complexity. Now, Warren Bennis once said that emotional intelligence, more than any other factor, more than IQ, more than expertise, accounts for 85 to 90% of success at work. So here's my challenge to you this morning. If EI, emotional intelligence, is so important in the boardroom, why are we not insisting it is taught in the classroom? If it is very important in a boardroom, why are we not insisting that it is taught in the classroom? And so a very, very important thing. Now, let me tell you a story I heard about a program called Roots of Empathy. Now, in it, a baby is brought into a classroom. Children watch the baby with the parents. They observe emotions. They learn to understand feelings without words. And what is the result of that? A dramatic drop in aggression and bullying, and long-lasting improvement in kindness and cooperation. Now, compare that to what many schools are doing today. We are teaching to the test, pushing for grades, and leaving little room for emotional growth. No wonder we see brilliant graduates today who struggle with teamwork, leadership, and resilience. My friends, the stakes couldn't be higher. The world our children are stepping into is unpredictable, whether we like it or not. Artificial intelligence is reshaping industries. Climate change is demanding new levels of cooperation. Jobs are evolving at lightning speed. If we don't prepare the next generation, if we don't prepare, if we don't work on the next generation to be able to manage their emotions, to be able to adapt under pressure, to empathize with people who are different from them, then we are not preparing them at all. I think I should repeat that. I'm saying that if we don't prepare the next generation to be able to manage their emotions, if we don't prepare them to be able to adapt under pressure, if we don't prepare them to empathize with people who are different from them, then we are not preparing them at all. And here's a business angle. Now, today's classrooms are tomorrow's boardrooms, whether we like it or not. And so, if you're a business leader and you're listening to me this morning, you think that, oh, this one doesn't concern me. We're talking about teaching emotional intelligence in schools. The people that the schools are going to churn out are the same people that you are going to keep in your business. And that is why you should be concerned as much as every one of us or everybody else listening to me this morning. So we're talking about emotional intelligence this morning on a roundtable discussion. Because if we don't fix it now, we'll all feel the consequences later. Whether in our companies, in our investments, or even in our communities and in our homes. And so we need to call for emotional intelligence to be taught, because I see a generation that is failing in the area of emotional intelligence. A lot of people, a lot of young people today do not understand emotional intelligence. And when you go into corporate spaces, some leaders, some bosses, some top executives don't understand emotional intelligence. Imagine if they were taught this in school, if the classrooms were filled with conversations around emotional intelligence. Everybody got to understand their emotions better. They understood themselves better. They are able to regulate themselves. We're going to see a lot of change in our world. And that is why this is very important this morning. So I'm saying that today's classrooms are tomorrow's boardrooms. If we don't fix it now, we will all feel the consequences later, whether in our companies, in our investments, or in our communities. So let me leave this thought with you this morning. What if schools didn't just teach young people to make a living, but also how to make a life? What if? Just what if? What if schools didn't just teach young people to make a living, but also how to make a life? And that's a conversation we are opening today. And in our roundtable discussion, we'll be asking whether emotional intelligence should be part of our curriculum. How do we teach empathy in a way that is very practical and not just theory? And what role should business leaders, you and I play in making sure it happens? And that is what we'll be discussing this morning. So please don't go anywhere, because if we get this right, we won't just build better schools. We'll build better leaders. We're going to build better businesses and a better society. So I believe that this affects every aspect of our lives. And that is why from the beginning I told you that today's conversation is very relatable, something that borders around all of us. And so we'll have this very important conversation when we get into our roundtable discussion. But that will be all for Business Brief this morning. Please don't go anywhere. Stick and stay. Let's have this very important conversation. And let's see what comes out of it at the end of the day. Up next is Transport Today with Solomon Tetenati. Stay tuned.
3, 7, 2, 8.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engines running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us here on the Business Breakfast on Zed. Solomon Tetanate is ready to bring us transport today. Minya, it's saying.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very well by God's grace. I hope everything is okay with you.
Yeah, Charlie. He did inside. He did inside.
All right. Okay, so tell us what you have for us this morning.
Okay, so I'm taking you through the local flight schedules for today, and then we will look at the traffic situation in town, and then finally we go through the news trending in the aviation sector. So let me start with the local flight schedules for today. Passion Air Accra to Kumasi. Let's look at how their schedules looks like, so that if you want to catch a flight, you know how to go around your schedule. So let me start with the morning schedules for Accra to Kumasi Passion Air, 6:20 a.m. and 11:20 a.m. So they have two flights available this morning, and it's at 6:20 a.m. and 11:20 a.m. Afternoon schedules 1:50 p.m. and 4:20 p.m. 1:50 p.m. and 4:20 p.m. and they have only one flight available in the evening at 7:20 p.m. So that's the local flight schedules for Passion Air Accra to Kumasi. Accra to Takoradi, they have one flight available in the morning, and that's it's at 8:50 a.m. and then one flight available in the afternoon at 4:20 p.m. In all, Accra to Takoradi, there are two flights available. It takes 50 minutes to get to your destination. Accra to Sunyani has only one flight available for the day at 9:30 a.m. and it takes 1 hour to get to your destination. Accra to Wa Passion Air also has only one flight available for the day at 12:20 p.m. and it takes 1 hour 40 minutes to get to your destination. So Accra to Tamale Passion Air this morning, or Accra to Tamale morning schedule is at 6 a.m. and then afternoon schedule is 4 p.m. So two flights available for the day for Accra to Tamale Passion Air, and it takes 1 hour 20 minutes to get to your destination. So these are the local flight schedules for Passion Air. Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi. Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi. They have two flights available in the morning, and the flights are 6:20 a.m. or the time for the flights are 6:20 a.m. and 9:40 a.m. Afternoon schedules 2:10 p.m. and 3:10 p.m. and then evening schedule is at 7 p.m. and it takes 40 minutes to get to your destination. Accra to Takoradi, morning schedule 7:20 a.m. and then afternoon schedules are 12 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. So they have one flight available in the morning, and that's Accra to Takoradi Africa World Airlines, and then two flights available in the afternoon. There's no flight available in the evening, so you should take note and know how to schedule your way around this time. And so it takes 40 minutes to get to your destination, and that's Accra to Takoradi. Accra to Tamale, Africa World Airlines morning schedule 6:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. and then afternoon schedules 12:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. and so we have two flights available in the morning and then two flights available in the afternoon. There's no flight available in the evening. That's Africa World Airlines Accra to Tamale, and it takes 1 hour to get to your destination. So these are the local flight schedules for today. Now let's look at the traffic in town, how the city looks like currently. So we are on the motorway, and there's traffic actually building up slowly at motorway Manet bus stop. It's a smooth traffic, and so you should take note of that on the motorway heading towards Tema. And also Spintex Road is busy at the moment. Spintex Road is busy at the moment at where the Manet Junction bus stop is heading towards Mawako Fast Food Spintex branch. There's traffic on that stretch, and that's Spintex Road. So if you're using the Spintex Road, expect traffic around where the Mawako Fast Food is located. Now let's look at the traffic in town, how the city looks like currently. So we are on the motorway, and there's traffic actually building up slowly at motorway Manet bus stop. It's a smooth traffic, and so you should take note and know how to schedule your way around this time. And so it takes 40 minutes to get to your destination. So these are the local flight schedules for today. Now let's look at the traffic in town, how the city looks like currently. So we are on the motorway, and there's traffic around where the Mawako Fast Food is located. So that's the traffic situation around that area. Now, there's also traffic building up slowly. Traffic building up slowly at Sakumono, where the Sakumono KFC is located. You should expect traffic on that stretch heading towards the Bachuna Total Energy Services. There's traffic on that stretch, so you should also take note of that if you are using the Sakumono road. Expect some traffic. Lachibi on the Ashaman Klagon road is also very busy at the moment at Lachibi, so you should also take note of that. China Mall, around China Mall is also very busy at the moment. The stretch heading towards China Mall is very, very busy. Atema is Ashama, is very, very busy at the moment, so you should also take note of that. If you're at Ashaman heading towards China Mall, you are going to experience some traffic around that area. So that's the traffic situation in town as we speak. Accra Aflao Road is also busy at where the Sethi Brothers Ghana Limited is located, heading towards the TT Brothers Transport. There's traffic on the Accra Flower Road, so you should also take note of that. And also, there's traffic on the same stretch around where the Tema Golf Park or Golf City is. There's traffic on the same Accra Flower Road, so you should also take note of that. So that's the traffic situation in town as we speak. Now, let's look at some stories actually trending in the aviation sector today. So Kuwait Airways has taken a bold step towards enhancing the travel experience by introducing a groundbreaking flexible economy class designed to offer unmatched convenience and comfort for modern travelers. So this new offering allows passengers to select from a range of tailored options, including the innovative economy class without baggage, catering to those who prefer to travel light. So that's from Kuwait Airlines. And also Turkish Airlines is expanding its global network with several new routes in 2026, connecting more cities to Istanbul and beyond. So one of the most significant developments is the launch of direct flight from landing Stansted to Istanbul starting March 18, 2026 with 14 weekly services. So this marks the airline's first ever service from the UK airport, and I think another major addition is the non-stop flight between Sydney and Istanbul, set to begin in late 2026. So these are the stories actually trending in the aviation sector today. Thank you so much, Nii, for having me.
Thank you very much, Solomon Tetenate, for bringing us that. We'll take a quick music break, and when we return, we will get into our market trend segment. Please stay tuned. And when we return, we will get into our market trend segment. Please stay tuned.
This is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM.
miss out on this incredible opportunity. Call us now to learn more and schedule a tour of our available homes. Lakeside Estate, quality home for all. And also, are you an entrepreneur, a CEO, or a C-suite executive, or a game changer shaping industries who's ready to connect and share groundbreaking ideas and uncover new opportunities and also gain practical insights to scale your business? If you are that person, then you don't have to miss the second edition of the CEO's Breakfast and Networking Meeting. Just the rise of the conscious leader, power, profit, and principles. The transformative event exploring the balance between influence, profitability, and principled leadership, equipping you to lead with impact and integrity. And there are exciting raffles us here on the Business Breakfast on Zed. We get into our market trend segment right about now. And this morning, we're going to talk about the inflation, right? Yesterday, we started a conversation and we said we're going to continue today. But unfortunately, we can't continue that conversation today. We're going to shift it to next week. Sorry, or maybe tomorrow or something. Then today, we talk about the inflation that the Ghana Statistical Service, the numbers that the Ghana Statistical Service has released. Now, Ghana's inflation has fallen again, and that's something that goes down to 11.5%. Highest now. That's the lowest we've seen since 2020.
that this particular thing has been driving police. And in fact, any evidence that we believe that the way how important they are in affecting the numbers that just as I mean they provided with some great information. The one that I saw that was very good, I want to comment this particularly for this only the original what it did was to tell us across the in this what the We are almost at the cap of experiencing that. If this continues for 12 months, then the point we are making is that for 1 year, inflation reduced, inflation rate or the rate of inflation, then this is the lowest inflation we've seen in 4 years. It's October 2021. This is the lowest inflation in October 2021. That is quite amazing. I said 4 years ago. In a month, that is a 0.6% drop from what we saw in July. July was 4.1%, and 12.3% drop from December. So when you do year on year, that's 11.5%. And I think that we
last year. So we're doing 12.1 and now we're doing 11.5. That's some good news. So okay, let's look at how significant is this anyway? How significant is this drop as we are seeing it, the 11.5 we are seeing? How significant is that for our economy?
Okay. It's a good progress. You see, your person has used it's a great progress. We made that progress. We've gone through it. And usually when I want to talk about African I'll just have my mind to be able to see where we have come and how far we have come. Like I was telling you earlier, in numbers, probably 15 years, and if we are seeing the number grow at 11.5%, it's very, very significant. The way you look at it is really different. So if it is significant, what's really well, if the economy has gone I think our highest generally been done around COVID-19 back up, not just Ghana, but the rest of them. We saw the impact it had. We saw what the global market was doing in terms of price because of how back how the Russia is doing for Pakistan because they are that stage of which I don't think they've affected China to the place we don't get here. But we cannot agree that they have to do that. And even that one was not our economy was actually the whole thing around I don't see how it ends up as to be. What are we recovering from? We are recovering from the climate. We are recovering from something when activated economic and then we are being told that the economy is not good. We went to the IMF. Went to the IMF that IMF help us because all that is saved and let us consolidate our income. And for me, I make this point at the back of what we've seen our government do. Not only this government, of course, the contribution of this government has been enormous in the greater part, but the agenda, the foundation was set by the previous government. The conversation around recovery began with them, and they did their part. And what this government has done, I think, is very key and instrumental to the progress that we have seen. We've seen how inflation has been trending down. These new stability for 8 consecutive months. And this inflation, we are talking about inflation now. And that is why I think
downward trend? I want to know.
Well, it's a mixture or it's a multiple of factors. I don't think one factor would point to it. And maybe let's do it this way. You know, I know the debate that has been, but how long can we sustain some debate? At a certain point in time, we cannot really sustain some of the debate. Then when it's inside the back of Ghana, we are very of course, we keep fighting now. never know how the appearance of food smiles on the faces of people. Some people laugh. Food makes people happy. I've heard people tell me that food is their life language. So a reduction in the prices of food and food items is very critical for almost everyone. Once you can bring food prices down, you are helping. Yeah, because access to food is key for everybody's life. And that's what I'm saying is better. And you see, food has a direct impact on the budget, on the household budget. All of us, food impact our budget. If food prices are going up, we have little space to save or to invest. So if food prices are coming down, then we'll be able to live. And at the same time, we have space on our budget to do other things. That's what we said. And that is why it's very, very There are lots of farms. I remember recently I went to a Kropon in the Ashanti region. I think I was heading towards the those who know would know. There used to be a big farm there, not there. It's an animal farm. It is there. Nothing is there. The land is there. The walls are there. You can see that there used to be a farm. Nothing is there. I'm not sure it's only that. It's size like this. We have made factors for aspects of private sector. And now we are not able to provide the egg that we need. We are not able to get the cost to supply the amount of work that we want them to do. I hope we what I'm talking about. What we have done to buy it with real, it's for almost everybody to do that. However, you want but what let's say we able to do and even how I'm making it that yes, the number is there. But I think underneath the number something that we want to do. We need to look into that very because we spend a lot of time, a lot of people talk about the correct. That is not the well. That they are fundamental. That we need to do. Just one thing is how we do it. Otherwise, let's institutionalize it, and then you cannot eat it without the food. We need to sustain our life to be able to do it when without food. We need it's like a shock so many things that we need on a video. When will we start developing stronger, bigger, very mega storage use plantation to be able to at least for my social service platform produce what self-reliant. Very, very important. And I think I have to say the person that I think that I think very important the price. We've also seen that
I wanted to know what explains that sudden
So non-food inflation, I think that let's look at, for instance, when we rank how our inflation went. So for the non-food, it was split. So housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuel, that is coming down. In July, it was negative 0.2, and in August, it's negative 1.8. It ranks second. The percentage point is just 1.4 in August, compared to 1.9 in July. So you can understand that. So let's say year on year, for August, then yam, ginger, beef, rice, fish. Or the grain, the rice, then electricity, same thing with 5, 6 over. My friend, yeah, but these are the content of and in that, you see only 2 things. Cinema of understand why the imported inflation is also lower than what is really locally manufactured. Yeah, so these things together explain why we are seeing a lot. For the items I can list them, it even includes alcoholic beverages. Yeah, but I think the bulk of the work is not really around this area. The bulk of the work is around this area. Now, yeah, to bring inflation down, we need to set on the
emotional intelligence should be taught in our classrooms, and that's a very important conversation I think that you shouldn't miss. So please don't go anywhere. We'll take a quick music. people who are academically brilliant, but they are not emotionally intelligent. Yes, they are very intelligent when it comes to the classroom stuff and everything, but when it comes to life, really, they struggle. And it is very important that we have such a conversation so that we can shed light more on that. And this morning, I am going to have this conversation with some two individuals, and they are going to tell us why it matters. And why and how we can even get it into our schools in the first place. And so I'm joined in studio now by Christabel Gasu. She's an educator and also an administrator of a school, right? Christabel, you're welcome to the Business Breakfast on Zed.
Thank you very much, It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. All right. And we have over the phone lines Aram, I hope that I pronounced that right. Aram Nyame. And he's a mental health advocate and also a psychologist. Aram, good morning. Can you hear us?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you doing?
Come again.
How are you doing?
I'm good by God's grace. I hope you are fine too.
Yeah, by God's grace, I'm doing well. So we'll get into our conversation right away. And let me just start in studio because you are here, Christabel, so we can have this. Okay, let me just start over the phone lines. This time, not ladies first. I want to change the dynamics a bit. And so, Aram, so let's start the conversation. Now, you are a psychologist and you're a mental health advocate as well. How important is emotional intelligence? Or first of all, when we talk about emotional intelligence, what comes to mind?
All right, thank you. So I'll use this to send my regards to all your listeners and viewers.
You sound quite far, Aram.
We'll look quickly at
Hello.
I will highlight psychologically a model that Daniel Guzman propounded. And that is the entire spectrum of emotional intelligence. And that model looks or take into account, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you.
All right. It takes into account self-awareness when you're talking about emotional intelligence, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Now, when we talk of emotional intelligence, ideally, we are talking about the ability to recognize and understand and further manage our own emotions and that of others, or respond effectively to the emotions of others. That forms the entire spectrum of emotional intelligence. So within emotional intelligence, we have two main things that has to do with self-awareness and self-management, and then social competency that has to do with social awareness and relationship management.
Hello? Okay, all right. Can you hear me, Aram?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. All right. So thanks for that breakdown. I'm going to come back to you to explain a bit further so that everybody who is listening to us this morning can understand. But let me also come to you, Christabel. Christabel, so when we talk about emotional intelligence, what comes to mind?
Right. Thank you once again for this opportunity. Emotional intelligence simply refers to the ability to identify your own emotions and manage them in whatever context you find yourself in.
So that's what. But from a school's perspective, do you see that we are embracing that? Let's compare that to academics. How do you see that in our school system?
I would say that currently it's not something that has been intentionally institutionalized, but we will not downplay the efforts of some educational institutions and educators who are attempting to inculcate emotional intelligence in their learners. So you see that in little pockets, educators are doing their best to make sure that their students are aware of their emotions, able to regulate it in the context of relationships in the classroom, academic work, even how to regulate their emotions outside of school.
So we are now beginning to see it.
Yes,
but I don't agree completely, because I mean I visit some schools around, and I'm sure what you're talking about is in the international schools and all of that. In our public schools, they are more about academics. Even if you are good at sports, you are not regarded. How much more emotional intelligence?
I beg to differ. I would say that we should not disregard the work of some educators in pushing this.
Right.
But again, we would benefit from properly institutionalizing this, making sure that emotional intelligence is taught or incorporated fully into our curriculums.
Right. Okay. Let me come back to you, Aram. Aram, you do a lot of work with people, teaching them about emotional intelligence. I want you to break down the concept of emotional intelligence proper, and then maybe you can add your voice to what Christabel said. Do you see that going around? Do you see a lot of people paying attention to that in recent times?
All right. Thank you very much. So let me highlight on this, and then quickly look at what my sister Christabel said. So first of all, in the 1990s where emotional intelligence started gaining recognition. And if we look at popular theories that were coined on emotional intelligence, it started from 1990, from Mayer. And then in 1995, it started gaining dominance. Before 1990, 1995 respectively, it has been IQ everywhere. And so it became so important that we now look at emotional intelligence, because what is this thing that is coming up that is beating, sometimes in organizational setting, beating IQ? And so that's why emotional intelligence firmly get grounded.
Okay, I thought you are not done. Or I thought you are done. Sorry, I thought you are not done actually. So, all right. Anyway, let's continue the conversation. So, tell us why it is very important in today's world to have emotion. I mean, to be emotionally intelligent, really. Aram.
All right. So, when we are sticking to our topic in schools, why it is important to be emotional intelligent, or to inculcate emotional intelligence into our school framework. Emotional intelligence, we can see that, as I highlighted earlier on, is under two main spectrum or sub-theme. That is personal competence and social competence. And it becomes so important that irrespective of your IQ you have, we now look at your ability to relate with people. How do you handle critiques? How do you handle setbacks? And so that affects your relationship with people. And so emotional intelligence ideally will help you manage your own emotions and then help you to relate well with others. That is the first thing.
Go ahead. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Aram.
Okay. So that is emotional intelligence. That's one of the importance or essence of emotional intelligence.
You can actually go off video and still talk to us.
Come again?
I'm saying you can go off video and still talk to us.
All right. So it also helps us in social and emotional regulation. So just as we are talking now, let's say certain comments are passed. Mostly we do see this in our politicians. And then when you see that, you see clearly that emotional intelligence is lacking. How we react to situations where, if we are aware of ourselves, of our emotions, we'll be able to regulate ourselves. So managing anxiety also helps, emotional intelligence also helps to manage anxiety. Aside social and emotional success, emotional intelligence goes a long way to help us to manage anxiety.
All right, Aram. So I'm saying that you could actually go off video and speak to us. I hope if that works, because I see that you're struggling a bit with moving the camera and all of that. So just feel free. You can go off video and still speak to us. But let me come back to you, Christabel, in studio. So Christabel, we'll come back to schools and all of that. But do you see in the general Ghanaian community, do you see that? I mean, a lot of people are emotionally intelligent.
In my opinion and per my experiences, I would say that a lot of people seem to lack emotional intelligence in reaction to bad news sometimes, or unpleasant comments often in public arenas. Sometimes even in expression of distaste. But I would say also, again, in my own experience, that I find a lot more older people exhibiting emotional intelligence, if you can agree with me on that.
Yeah.
It seems that older people are able to be more measured in how they react and respond to certain situations.
But do you think it comes with the age, or is it something that they've inculcated into their lives right from the beginning?
I would say age plays a factor. You know, you've had a lot of experiences in life. You've seen where emotional outbursts can take you. Sometimes it even takes away certain opportunities, perhaps because you reacted negatively or you didn't take into consideration other people's emotions. So I would say that age plays a factor in emotional intelligence. Yes.
Now, on the flip side, when you're talking about the fact that we're not quite seeing it across, I mean, in certain comments that people make and all of that, can we trace that back to our schools? And we're saying that our schools didn't teach them that. And so because of that, we're not quite seeing that.
I understand where you're coming from, Nii, but I would say, again, as someone who works in the educational sector, we place ultimately too much blame on the schools.
But that is where we spend most of our time.
That is true.
Yeah, because a child will go to school very early in the morning, sometimes by 7 a.m. they are already in school, and then they come back after maybe 4 or 5, spend some 2 hours with mother and father when they come back from work, and then they go back to school. So we spend a lot of time in school, even than the home, and so that is why we will always direct the things to school. Okay, you want to defend the schools, you understand.
Both schools and the home will play and should play a big role in educating our learners and our young people on emotional intelligence. I would say that we cannot put all the blame on the schools, and neither can we lay all the fault at the doorsteps of our families and our communities. All of us have to work in tandem to make sure that our young people are aware of their emotions. Our young people can regulate their emotions when needed, in public, even in private. And we must make sure that our young people are able to respond appropriately, regardless of the emotional stake, or regardless of the trigger or what has caused them perhaps discomfort.
Okay, all right. So let me come to Aram now. Aram, so I have seen some research that suggests that about 90% of top performers have high emotional intelligence. Why does that matter more than IQ for leadership? Hello, Aram.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of the best case scenario that started in the 1990s coming, that I highlighted in my earlier submission. So we could see that people who are doing so well have high emotional intelligence. And then ideally, IQ that should surpass or take the place of higher performance in leadership. We are seeing emotional intelligent people rather doing so well. That is the reason. This is because when you look at leadership in total, it is your ability to understand people, your ability to identify their emotions. And there's one subtle thing about emotional intelligence that sometimes go beyond facial or verbal cues. So as a leader, emotional intelligence leader is able to pick non-verbal cues, able to pick any signal that is outside verbal. And so he's able to integrate and meet the needs of the people he's leading. And it's one of the key factors that make emotional, intelligent people in leadership so proficient and effective.
I see. Do you agree, Christabel?
I would have to agree, Ni. Leadership does not operate in a vacuum. You are leading people. You are driving people towards a vision. Even in the school, you are driving your learners, or even as a learner, you are driving your colleagues towards a given vision. You should be able to understand them. You should be able to relate well with them. And emotional intelligence plays a big factor in that. So emotional intelligence is important for good leadership.
So if we're going to have the right leaders in the nearby future, then it means that we must go back to the classroom.
They need to be emotionally intelligent
to be able to do that. Okay, but have you seen students with average grades that have been transformed? I mean, they become better. I mean, they are thriving later in life because of emotional intelligence in your line of work.
That is an interesting question. Thriving later in life often comes from different factors. Emotional intelligence will play a part in that, but then also it comes as a result of self-development. When you begin to develop yourself, then you begin to thrive much better than if you had no knowledge of yourself. And again, emotional intelligence is part of self-development. One pillar of emotional intelligence is awareness. Right. You should be aware. And immediately you begin to become aware, you start to work on what is wrong, what is lacking. You start to buff up what is already shining in your life.
In recent times, we've seen a lot of bullying, assault in schools. I mean, young people doing all kinds of things.
That's true.
Is there a link between those things and emotional intelligence?
The short answer is yes. The long answer is sometimes bullying, exclusion, victimization. Now we are in a digital world, so then there is the digital aspect of all those things. It comes as a result of a need, or sometimes a need to feel validated, right, or a need to fulfill certain emotional needs that are lacking. Perhaps you want others to see you. Perhaps you want to feel big. And I'm talking about the classroom. I'm talking about the educational sector. So students that are often not emotionally aware sometimes are usually the victims of this unfortunate aspects of school life. Sometimes they are the perpetrators, they are the bullies, they are the ones that are consistently picking on other students. So teaching emotional intelligence, I believe, will cause a decline in these undesirable things.
And even beyond the walls, even beyond the four walls of school, where, I mean, most of the times we'll see a lot of bullying, in corruption, in our public sector, in our daily lives. Would you also say that emotional intelligence plays a role? I mean, there's a link between the two?
I think that there is a very clear correlation in that. Anyone who is fully aware of themselves, of their emotions, anyone who is able to self-regulate in a difficult situation is less likely to be the one that causes a heated argument, is less likely to be the one that will say something so offensive to another person, because you are thinking of the other person, you are thinking of yourself, you are thinking of how you are going to make the person feel. So with that, any emotionally intelligent person you will not find the person on that side of the card.
They're measured in what the kinds of things that they do and how they do
very
them.
measured.
All right. Okay, we'll continue the conversation. So it's exactly 24 minutes after 9. If you just tuned in, this is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. And this morning, we're having a conversation on why emotional intelligence should be actually taught in our classrooms. And Christabel doesn't agree, it's only classroom. But anyway, yeah, but if you just tune in, you can join a conversation. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Zed Multimedia. Please drop a comment on those platforms and I'll read them for you. You can as well send me a WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019. You can as well call me on 030395661, 030395661, and I give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us this morning. Let me come to you, Aram. Are you still with us?
Yes, please, I'm with you.
All right. Okay, so how have you seen emotional intelligence play out in real life for you?
All right. So emotional intelligence in real life is everything to effective living. When I say effective living, your ability to relate with your environment, all that is in your environment. So in the real life scenario, emotional intelligence plays a higher role. Your ability to know yourself, understand your emotions, and regulate your own emotions, that helps you to also understand the emotions of others, whether through verbal cues or non-verbal cues, because all boils down to self-awareness. Self-awareness. So if you are self-aware, you'll be able to, one, manage your own self, your own emotions that will not lead to outrageous reaction. And so emotional intelligence is linked to morality one way or the other, because those that behave appropriately, from the psychological point of view, we look at it from this way. What is the person thinking? What is he feeling? And why is he behaving this way? So, for instance, in a classroom setting, a teacher has given a feedback that is quote unquote awful to the students. The student's ability to be calm is linked to emotional intelligence, and the student's inability to maintain calm is linked to emotional intelligence. So in a real life scenario, whether it is in the school, whether it is outside school, I would say that emotional intelligence is highly positively related to morality or right behaving.
Okay. So I mean, you're adding your voice basically to what Christabel said, that some of the things that we are seeing in schools is because a lot of them are not. I mean, a lot of our students are not emotionally intelligent. Now, can emotional intelligence actually protect children from anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem?
Very well. Emotional intelligence can protect children from anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and this is the pathway. So mostly, I'll go a little backward to early childhood or upbringing. You see some of the children in some homes, when they are crying, parents allow them to cry to express their emotions. When the child is upset, you see him lying down to show his upset or frustration. Now, parents who leave children like this, when they are upset and they display their upset by maybe crying excessively or lying down, with time, these children mute or curb in their emotions. They don't show it again. So emotional intelligence starts from upbringing, from the home. So in the school, one thing my colleague highlighted that I wanted to rule out mental disorders like ADHD and then autism. Because in a classroom scenario, it's not students who are not emotionally intelligent alone that play out or they misbehave, but those with mental health condition, ruling out autistic children and attention deficit hyperactive children out. Emotional intelligence plays a role there, but it starts from the home, where mothers or caregivers are able to tap to the emotions of children.
So to be able to raise children that are emotionally intelligent, you the mother, you the father, you also have to be very emotionally intelligent to be able to do that.
Very sensitive to the children's emotion.
Right. Okay.
Very sensitive to the children's emotion.
Okay. Christopher, do you have real life examples from your school where emotional intelligence actually I've been wanting us to make a case for it, then we can now talk about how and all of that. So that is why I keep coming back to some of these things. So have you seen in real life, do you have examples like that where emotional intelligence actually changed the behavior of some students?
Right. I have observed one situation, okay, a couple more like that. As Aram said, it begins in early childhood.
Right.
The child has to be explicitly taught about emotions, how to manage them, how to regulate them. However, if that doesn't happen, you realize that there are undesirable behaviors. So a practical example, of course, not naming names.
Yeah, of course.
A learner who was not performing quite as expected, given all the resources, all the support, all the help that he or she had received. Then going through counseling, because it was concerning to the parents, going through counseling with a school counselor. I work at Glorious Pearls Complex School at Sotom. The school counselor brought out, you realize that, yes, we do.
Wow.
Realize that the learner was lacking in confidence.
Okay.
Another issue was that the learner felt, so this is where emotional intelligence came, the learner felt that the colleagues will laugh at him or her if he asks a question.
Right.
The learner felt that asking questions in class will undermine his authority, in his or her authority on the playground
like,
or outside school.
You don't understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because in quotes he is a big boy
okay.
or a big girl. Then among other issues really, and we had this IEP conversation, how to help this learner. We helped the learner understand that, look, your academic excellence is a matter of your hard work. Yet, thinking you are shy, thinking other people will make fun of you is what is currently holding you back. You need to own it. You need to know that this is how I feel at this given moment. You need to know that this is the help that I need. You need to identify it, and then you can reach out. To our surprise, this learner started requesting for help from classmates, requesting for more support outside of what the school provided, of course. And currently, I will say that this learner is performing quite well. So you realize that in this scenario that I've given, very abridged, of course, our learner has become more aware of him or herself and able to know the steps to take. Our learner has realized that your proposed or supposed superiority or seniority outside of the academic class, I hope you understand that. Like he or she is the big man
people like that
outside of school. Yes, he has more followers on social media than everybody else.
That thing.
But you need to understand that nobody is going to make fun of you. You need to understand that we all are here to help you to do well. So over here, we make the case for emotional intelligence, knowing, understanding, and then working on that to improve yourself and other aspects of your life.
Right. Great. So I think right now the case is made.
The
That
case has
emotional
been made.
intelligence must be part of our lives.
It
Through
must.
leadership. I mean, in leadership, it's needed in our daily lives.
In our
whether you're
social
in
lives,
social life
in the
and all of
workplace,
that.
etc.
So let's talk about practically getting it into our schools. Do you think that it should be standalone, or you think we should fuse it with literature, civic education, stuff like that?
That's an interesting question, and I know a lot of teachers are going to have a lot to say about making it either a standalone subject or fusing it into the classroom. From where I sit, I would propose, or I would say it will be best if it's fused into the classroom, but
why do
we must
before you come to it?
I will make my point,
right.
but we must explicitly teach it. As Aram mentioned earlier, at the early childhood, or in Ghana, that's the kindergarten, the Ghanaian curriculum, that's the kindergarten level. Also in the lower primary level, that's basic 1, 2, 3, formerly known as class 1, class 2, class 3. We must explicitly teach what the feelings are. Certain children at this point, in my experience, do not even know the meaning of the word disgust. We need to teach them what those feelings are, what those moods are, situations that might trigger these feelings, and then how to regulate it. Then as they grow, as they progress in their academic career, then we take it out as an explicit subject and now integrate it into subjects like social studies or even literature in English. We can also include it in other subjects. In fact, you would find it interesting the different ways that you can teach emotional intelligence as a teacher, even on the playground.
Tell us about
even when students are fighting in class.
So
let me give you a scenario. Let me paint you a scenario. You have, you are teaching... what class would you like me to teach?
Me or you?
What class would you like me to teach me?
Okay, let's say class 5. Let's say class 5.
You're teaching in class 5. And as a teacher, you give a question. You start your lesson. You've engaged your learners. You give a question, and somebody raises his hand so confidently, but the answer is wrong. How do you go about it? Do you just shut the learner that, oh, sit down? No. How do you approach it? And even when you tell the learner in a very nice way, oh, I like your answer, but I think that I would like to hear more, or your answer doesn't quite hit the mark, I would like to hear more from other people.
I use that a lot. I mean, maybe I can say that I'm emotionally intelligent.
Me, you are emotionally intelligent.
Because I teach in church, and sometimes when you ask a question and somebody gets it wrong, I say, not quite. Okay, let's give it another try. Let's, try, so you don't make it look like
you can be a teacher. In fact, you should be a teacher. So that's the mark of a good teacher. So not quite. I think we should try again. If the learner is closer to the answer, what do you think? You try pointing the learner in the direction. Perhaps you do all these things and the learner is still offended. Perhaps you have a learner who is not yet ready to come out, but the answer is wrong. Shooting him down kills the spirit of that learner.
Right.
So you have to model it in the classroom. I feel bad, but I'm going to try again. I know that my teacher did not intend to offend me. Another scenario can be perhaps a conflict in the classroom. Maybe it can be an interpersonal conflict. It can be a conflict over teaching, learning materials. You took my book, you took my pencil. I'm sure other teachers can relate.
Yeah, I've actually taught in school before.
Oh, so you understand.
Yeah, something like that.
You understand.
I went to volunteer with a school.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I saw those things. But there are times that some students come to report a matter and, hey, go and sit down.
Thank you very much. I was getting there as my final scenario.
Sure.
All those things are very important. So one thing you have to do as a teacher first is to model emotional intelligence. You need to name the feeling and you need to name what to do after the feeling. I feel offended. It doesn't mean I should slap my classmates.
Right.
It doesn't mean I should, as we used to say, handle it. And you name the required or the desired behavior after that. I'm shy. What can I do?
Right.
I'm afraid. What can I do? I feel envious of my classmates' new belonging, new school bag. What should I do from there? So doing that as a teacher, you are teaching emotional intelligence without necessarily writing the whole topic on the board. Emotional intelligence.
I like how you've explained it. And I don't want this to be like a policy conversation. I want us to be very Yeah, that is why I keep interjecting and trying to make it very relatable. But let me come to Aram now. Aram, so what simple classroom practices, like maybe peer mentoring, mindfulness, actually work?
All right, thank you. So in a typical classroom, when we want to introduce emotional intelligence, I would suggest it start from words, emotional words. So word cards. We start displaying word cards, anger, happy. So we should first introduce emotional words. So when the kids have, or when the children have the vocabulary to express emotions, that is the first point to start from. Now, when they have the vocabulary and a student can tell you that I'm feeling tense before examination, rather than acting out or panicking or trying to talk to somebody because he wants to get away with the tension.
Right.
So when we start with word cards, just as in the crèche, they demonstrate them in the classroom, so they can have emotional words. Then from there, we can start role play into the classroom activity. I think some of us that went to the old days, it wasn't even JHS. I think it was a particular name.
JSS?
It was JSS.
Yeah.
So we could see that there are days that will come and do role play. We do role play in a typical classroom setting. So now, introducing emotional intelligence, we can come out with a script. And then we role play an angry situation and how an intelligent person handled it.
Wow.
And the other way around. In this way, we are not only teaching the children how to be emotional intelligent, but how to practice emotional intelligence. And when we are doing this at the basic school, they learn mostly by visualization, imitation, visualizing things. And that's why they watch movies and it will take their entire life. But what you teach theoretically, you ask them within months and they can't recall. So the demonstration will go a long way to live with them.
Okay.
So I think we should start from word cards. When we have word cards in the school setting, now we go role play. Leadership by example, just as we usually say, the teachers themselves should exhibit emotional intelligence. And I think my colleague will attest to that. When a teacher is quote unquote not emotionally intelligent and can show frustration in the classroom, and can shout on a child, that's where it starts from. They also curve in, and so they see that the way out to show frustration is to shout. And so he has taken my pen, he has taken my pencil, give me my book. And they can have a peaceful dialogue, but then it will be a quarrel and shout and fight.
Because I was actually coming to ask Christabel whether our teachers are trained to model empathy, because you're saying they should model it. Are they really trained?
Thank you very much for your
question. Don't cover up for educators. Speak.
I'm not going to cover up for educators. At this point, I can only speak for where I currently work at. I would say that my school does a good job of doing that. We do regular trainings where we cover a range of things. And I would say that Gloria Spell's Complex School, we go beyond the academics. So, for instance, you would have our head of school always talking to us about how to relate with your learners. Our head of school always says that know that your learners are individuals. Your learners have innate skills. In fact, the school's name is Glorious Pearls, so we say that every student is a pearl. And a teacher is supposed to, ensure that the pearl is properly polished, if you know the process. Yes. So the way you relate to students, very important. No insulting, no shouting. Remember that you are modeling, as Aram said, you are modeling for the learner. I would like to, should I say, throw a challenge and give our listeners who often relate with learners a short something to try out.
Okay.
I'm very sorry if this breaks ethical guidelines. I apologize in advance. You would realize that if you start to yell at a child, if you start to use hard words on a child, in a short time, perhaps even a month, that child begins to do the very same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you want to do things that work in the classroom, if you want your student to be emotionally intelligent, you must also be emotionally intelligent. Even if you are angry, the way you relate, even if you are frustrated, the way you react to your students or receive your students are going to learn something from there. You realize that your students are going to be softer, more measured in their responses, more measured in their answers, etc. Group works are where we see a lot of this conflict, friction, and tension. So when as a teacher you are able to model that for your students, you realize that they also begin to do the same things.
Right. Okay. And you were advocating a while ago. You were advocating a while ago that we shouldn't limit it to schools. Of course, we should look at parents and all of that. So let's talk about the role of parents. But I'll start with Aram. So Aram, tell me how parents can actually reinforce emotional intelligence at home. Now that we say schools should handle it, schools are handling it, but how can parents reinforce it? Because if somebody goes to school, the teacher is all nice, but they go home and then it's the other way around, I think it will affect them. So tell us how parents can actually reinforce that at home.
All right, thank you very much. So I think we are looking at collaborative efforts. So I love what used to exist those days, what we call parent-teacher association, where parents come for meetings and then they collaboratively engage in the well-being of their children.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that is still in existence.
Yeah, PTA has been reinstated, actually. I think about just a month ago.
That's good.
That's for senior high schools. I know junior high schools.
If we are doing this formally, and we want our children to be emotionally intelligent, I think the first thing the school should do is first have an engagement with parents, purely on emotional intelligence. Okay, because that's as you said, when you were asking the question, what if teachers are doing so well in the schools, and then they get home and the house become the perpetuating factor, where parents will just exhibit all kinds of frustration, and then most children too will act out based on what they see from parents. So the first ground is to have a dialogue. Parent-teacher association. Let's invite parents on board. Let's say a workshop fully on emotional intelligence for parents to know how emotional intelligence to operate. For instance, when you are home and you are calling your child, Ama, bring your uniform, let me iron for you, and the child is being reluctant. The proper way to go about it, not yearning but some of the times, most of the children exhibiting emotional outbursts in school, and teachers are doing well handling them. They are just transferring what is happening in the house. That's how daddy acts when he's frustrated or when he's confused. That day, everybody must stand well. That's how mommy also does it. And so when they come to the classroom, that's how they will also show it. When you have taken his pencil or his pen. So the first page or foundation should be a dialogue, an interaction between the parents and the teachers.
Now, even more practically, so if there's like a parent listening to us now, and maybe, I mean, they are curious about how can I also do that in my home. What would you say to them in reinforcing emotional intelligence?
Thank you. So as a parent, one, be aware of your own emotions. You realize that anytime that you are angry, you transfer your anger to your children. Let's say in a typical couple home, I need something from daddy. Daddy didn't provide it. Myself, I'm angry. Your father didn't bring the money. I have squeezed to get money, and then this food I have prepared, you are saying that you won't eat. How dare you say you won't eat when your daddy has not put money on the table? And I have swear to provide something. And so we directly transfer our anger between daddy and mommy to the child. So first, parents should be aware of their emotions and don't do transference of emotions to children. That's the first thing they should do. They should be aware of their emotions. Even if it has to do with the children, it's the children that are provoking, they should know how to respond. So first, awareness of your emotion as a parent is key in helping your children to be emotionally intelligent. The second thing you can do as a parent is to be aware of your children's emotion as well. So you give out a gift to your child, and then the body language says, I don't like it. And then you leave him or her. No, attend to the emotion of your child. Oh, sorry. Oh, you didn't like this one. Which one will you prefer? Okay, don't worry. Next time I'll get something that for you. For the child acting out that emotion that you attended to, you see, suddenly she will be fine or he will be fine because he or she has been calmed. So paying attention to your children's emotions and attending to the emotions is another step a parent can do to teach their children emotional intelligence.
Right. And I know you can go on and on and on and on, but our time is also, I'm looking at time, and our time is also elapsing gradually. So let's talk about the role of culture. What role does culture play in all of this, Christabel? Because in Ghana, I'm asking that because in Ghana we hear boys don't cry and some of these things. Yes. So I want you to, what role does culture play in there?
Culture plays a very important role of reinforcing whatever we have socialized our children to believe. So you can do all the emotional intelligence training in the schools. You can have parents reinforce that at home. But when they get out of the cocoon of home and school, what do people outside have to say? How do people outside treat our young children who are growing? For instance, a common third place is the church. So what do and the mosque? What is the prevalent behavior? What is the prevalent display of emotions when you go to such a place? When the people who are there are angry, how do they behave? When they are happy, how do they behave? Do we throw all caution to the wind? What do we do? So it reinforces whatever we've taught our learners. If not, then we are going to be developing, whether we like it or not, emotional dissonance in our students or in our children. So they know, so emotional dissonance simply means that there is an emotion I feel I'm supposed to exhibit as opposed to what I currently feel. So for instance, I had a B in an exam and I feel proud of it, but I know that I am supposed to feel bad, depending on wherever you do come from. Yes. So that's emotional dissonance. Maybe you had a breakup and you feel relieved, but you know that you're supposed to be sad.
Act like you're sad.
Yes. Okay. So that's emotional dissonance. So in doing that, it means then the school and the parents are going to be teaching something whilst the community is reinforcing something. This conversation of emotional intelligence is much bigger. It's a much, much bigger one. It's going to take a while for culture to all align, for us to understand emotional intelligence, what to do with our children, where we even want to go regarding emotional intelligence.
Right. Aram, do you have anything to add to that? Hello, Aram?
Yes.
Okay.
So a few things to add to what she said. So I'm looking at it from cultural practices that integrate emotional intelligence. Okay, so in a typical Ghanaian setting, we greet elderly people in some cultures by bowing and not even looking into their eyes. Avoid eye contact. These practices, in a way, makes us close to each other, but sometimes creates the ground of not noticing the emotions of others. Okay, especially whenever an elderly person asks you, "How are you?" the response is, "I'm fine," even when you are not fine. So
like
if we are able to, you see how the thing is. If we're able to teach emotions culturally, if somebody greets you and asks you, an elderly person asks you, if you are at a sign, and if you are not fine, tell him, "Uncle, I'm not fine." It's few. I think I've seen few instances where younger children are able to say, "I'm not fine," and we see that disrespectful or not acceptable. But right away, we are suppressing their emotions. For them to lack expression of emotions, they shouldn't express their emotions. So culturally, I think even from greetings, we should be able to arrange our children in a way that if they are not fine, they should be able to politely say that they are not fine.
Right.
That is emotional expression from there.
Okay.
So that when you call him and you are sending him, his demeanor or her demeanor walking will not look like an insult to you. Say, look at how he's walking. And that's because when you ask him, how is he doing? He's not able to tell you that he's not fine. Because that is not acceptable.
Right.
But if he was able to tell you that I'm not fine, you'll be able to probe further and probably will not send him or her.
Okay.
So I think culturally, that is one thing. If we are talking about it, we'll go further. So even from greetings or pleasantries, we should be able to orient our children to say, "I'm not fine," when they are not fine genuinely.
Right. Very important. Okay, let's now talk about the policy aspect in the future. So should you think government should mandate emotional intelligence in our schools? Because you, from the beginning, you said that some schools are beginning to teach it, and so it looks like there's some kind of lenient, like a lackadaisical approach to it. Some people are coming, others are not coming. Do you think it should be mandated? Mandatory. Sorry.
I would say that it's not to say a lackadaisical approach, but then it's also not a concerted effort to promote emotional intelligence. It's that little pockets of people who want to do it. I would say currently it's not explicitly spelled out. That is emotional intelligence, not explicitly spelled out in the current curriculum. So maybe a simple review, infusing it. The current curriculum has some core skills and some core competencies that we want to see in all our learners. So infusing that, it's a great list actually. So infusing emotional intelligence somewhere in there will help us to be able to achieve this goal sooner rather than later.
Right. Okay. So if you say you had the Minister of Education, right, listening to us this morning, what would be your pitch to him? Because you're an educator, and so that's why I want you to speak to that.
I would say that on behalf, or I would presume to speak for all educators in Ghana, to say that emotional intelligence, it's a topic that is very important. It's a topic that is burgeoning currently, and Ghana will do well to put it in our curriculum, to infuse it, as it were, in what is already working. In our literature, we can have books that speak about these things, so that our new generation will be globally aware, will also be able to regulate their emotions better, and thus make better leaders, because we want better leaders for our future.
We want better leaders for our future. Okay, so let me come to you as well, Aram. Do you have anything to say? Would you say anything to the Minister of Education if he was listening to us now?
All right. Thank you. Just as you highlighted, it should be emotional intelligence should be incorporated into the syllable. My sister indicated that if I heard her clearly, that it is not in it right now.
Yeah.
But if we want to build a better humans, if you want to build or bring up better humans, I think emotional intelligence should be inculcated into one of the core subjects. Let's say social studies. I am not so oriented about the core subjects now, but we know social studies, mathematics, science, and English language. So at least emotional intelligence should find a place within one of the core subjects syllabus.
Okay, all right. So if there's somebody listening to us who's wondering that, I mean, maybe there's a colleague who is not emotionally intelligent, right? How do you approach the person and tell them, as an emotionally intelligent person? That's my final question to all of you.
That is a prickly question. It is a prickly question because, first of all, one aspect of emotional intelligence, as Aram mentioned very early on in the conversation, is ability to take critiques and take them well, really. So if someone who is not emotionally intelligent in your circle, you want to approach the person, it's going to be a bit difficult. I think that you need to go about it very circumspectly, very gently, very softly. Perhaps you can share some resources. You can organically open a conversation, depending on your friend. If the person is more direct, you can go very direct to the point. My friend, you need to be emotionally intelligent and emotionally aware. So that is what I would suggest to people who would like to make sure that their friends are in on this, their friends know how to manage their behavior and regulate their emotions.
All right. I think I have some questions on our Facebook live stream. So let me just read that and then you touch on them for me. Okay, so this one says, how do you teach a child to be emotionally intelligent? I think we've tried to address that already.
I think so too.
Yeah, but maybe if you want to just mention it again, let Aram handle that. Aram.
Definitely.
Hello, Aram.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody's asking that. How do you teach a child to be emotionally intelligent? It's coming from Odoe Annie Amoa. I hope I got that name right. Yeah. So just quickly tell us that.
All right. So in a summary, I want to teach my child to be emotionally intelligent. First, I should be emotionally intelligent. What are we saying you should do by being emotionally intelligent? Be aware of your emotions. Be able to regulate your emotions by having various techniques. One of the common one we use in the therapeutic section is a deep breathing exercise. So be able to know your emotions, recognize your emotions, and manage your emotions. You are a model to your child directly as a parent. You are a model to your child directly. So if you are not shouting on your child when you are frustrated, definitely your child will not yen at you when he or she is demanding something and you are not providing. So be a role model yourself in the first place. Then, just as I said earlier on, you should be able to attend to the emotions of your children or of your child, because directly you are teaching emotional intelligence. Pay attention to his or her emotions. Attend to his or her emotions. Somebody can leave his child to cry and cry and cry and will not even cuddle him or her. So it gets to a point in time, the child stops exhibiting those emotions. The child caves in and then becomes emotionless. Then parents will have issue with that too. So in a summary, be aware of your emotions. As a parent, you are a model to your child, and then attend to the emotions of your child.
Right.
I think these are two few ones I can give.
Okay.
Because of that.
All right. There's also another question here. It says that, are there disadvantages in teaching emotional intelligence? There are always the two sides of things, but I don't know about this one.
There is. There
The
are always
advantages of teaching emotional intelligence.
Yeah. I think Christabel wants to attempt it, then I come to you, Aram.
There are always two sides of things, but as I see it now, I don't see perhaps a disadvantage to teaching emotional intelligence. I would say that we would all want emotionally aware adults. But let's hear what Aram also has to say.
Right. Okay, Aram. You wanted to say something? Yeah.
So, just as Christabel said, ideally, in a human context, it is polarity. And so if you have positive, definitely we expect that we should have negative. Yes. But then, just as too much of everything is bad, ideally, so let's say the negativity of teaching emotional intelligence might not currently, I have not touched hands on that, but it will be the practice of emotional intelligence. That's where I can draw disadvantage from the practice of emotional intelligence. So let's say you are so aware of your emotions, so you relate so well with people. And what you said, you're able to welcome various people that comes on board. And then within your team, someone will say that this guy is always in talk with people, always on your, maybe he thinks he knows too much or he's able to relate too much. That will come from practice of emotional intelligence as human. That's where negativity may come. Right. But in teaching emotional intelligence, ideally, I don't see any disadvantage in teaching emotional intelligence.
Okay, all right.
But it is in practice by our human nature that somebody may critique that you are so emotionally intelligent. You know, our society, how it is.
Okay.
But I don't see anything ideally bad about emotional intelligence and teaching of it.
Right. Okay. So there's another message here, but this is to Amma. Are you Amma?
No.
Okay. All right. So I see you, Amma. That's what the person says from Odo. I thought maybe you are the one. But thank you guys so much for coming. I'm really, really grateful that you made time to come speak to me. Do you have any final words before we go?
Thank you, Tuni. My final words is that emotional intelligence, very important. It's a soft skill that is difficult to measure really, but it shows up in your interactions with other people. So we should strive to build that in ourselves and in our learners. It's never too late.
Right.
You can start today.
You can start today. Okay. Aram, take the last bite.
All right. So what I'll say is that teaching emotional intelligence is not a luxury. It's a necessity. And in Ghana today, we need students who are not only academically excellent, but also emotionally resilient, empathetic, and ready to face life challenges. When schools, parents, and communities come together, we raise not just smarter students, but better humans.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. Really grateful that you make time to join me this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, please do enjoy the rest of your day. All right, that's how we wrap up today on the Business Breakfast on Zed. It's been a fantastic conversation with myself and Christabel Gassou. She's an educator and also an administrator of a school. And then joining us over the phone line was Aram Nyame, and he is a mental health advocate and a psychologist. And we spoke extensively about why emotional intelligence must be taught in our schools. And one thing is clear, that it's a very important thing. Christabel says a very important soft skill that everybody must learn. And so as you go about your day, whether you're a teacher, you're a business leader, you're an educator, anybody closer to power or to government, we all need to be emotionally intelligent. And let's incorporate that in our schools so that the young people can learn it before they grow up. And of course, as the Bible says, I will teach a child the way he should go, and when they go, they will not depart from it. So let's start teaching that in our schools. If you're a teacher, maybe it might not be mandatory to teach that now, but as somebody who is raising the next leader, or is raising the future generation or the future leaders, it's very important that you incorporate that into your teaching.